Hi, Amy Lamena again, back here at the Edison Tech Center in Schenectady, New York, again with Joe McBride, who is the owner of Northeast Wind Power Resources. Nice to see you again.
How you doing?
I'm all right. I wanted to ask you this time about, more your experience. How is it that you got into this line of work?
How I get into the line of work is it's windy in my area, very heavily windy in my area, and I've always wanted to get into putting some kind of alternative energy on my property. That's how it started.
Okay, and then once you enjoyed having this on your property, you decided to?
The interest of other people, the interest went through the roof.
Now, did you install your own, or did you?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
From the ground up.
And your background is in construction?
Yes.
Now, if, let's say, there are some students who find this really interesting and would like to get into this line of work at some point, what should they be studying in school? What did you find the most helpful?
Most helpful is maybe you have to have good math, because you have to do wind studies. There's a lot to that, and primarily figuring out what size turbine will work for that area, and if it will work.
All right. And let's say somebody calls you, says, I would like a wind turbine put into my little tiny house in Schenectady.
Yeah.
What's the first question that you ask them?
Well, the first question is where they live, exactly where they live. I could usually go on the Wind Map Explorer, which is New York State, to find out just how much average wind they have in that area. It'll tell you the wind direction. It'll tell you the average wind speed, the height, how many meters up to hit that. Usually, idealistically, is to hit a 10-mile-an-hour average wind speed. In other words, 10 miles an hour, even though what a lot of people don't understand, like say, 40 or 50 feet in the air, the wind ain't blowing, but 100 feet up in the air, 100, 120 feet in the air, the wind is blowing.
Okay.
You would never even know that.
Now that 10 miles an hour average doesn't mean it always has to be going 10 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, it's just an average. In other words, it all variable. Sometimes some days are like 20 mile an hour, other days might be 5. They take that average per year wind speed, annual wind speed.
Now how do you know, let's say, which direction to point,
all turbines, except for the big heavy commercial ones, they're all on a 360 axis. It'll always constantly track the wind.
So it actually spins depending on the wind direction.
Exactly.
So it always picks it up.
Yes. Yeah.
That's very cool. Now, how do you put these together? I mean, these look like large pieces of big steel equipment, right? And then
Yeah.
How do you get them there, or how many pieces are they in?
It starts basically with the excavation for the concrete work.
Okay.
Usually that takes a couple weeks for it once we get the concrete work done in place. You have to let it set up and cure, just so you're not stressing the concrete when the unit gets placed on it, because there's a lot of torques, weights,
About how much do these things weigh? I mean, what are we
No, they could weigh
about?
from, on average, on the units that work, like from the 2,000 to 10,000 watt units, you're basically from 2,000 pounds up to 8,000 pounds.
Wow, that's impressive. So I guess that's why you have to have the concrete under it?
Oh yeah, all the bases got to be perfect.
How deep a foundation do you have to build for this?
Usually they're 6 feet in the ground.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you get everything there? I mean, is this just...
It's basically shipped. Most cases it's shipped right on site, and then I have equipment that moves it around and bolts it together,
Okay. So how many pieces would one of these come in? I'm assuming it's not coming all
well, it depends.
assembled 120 feet down the road.
Some pieces are, on the smaller units, there might be 4 or 5 different segments of the unit, where the bigger units, there could be up to maybe, including every nut and bolt, you could be up to 150 pieces, different pieces, cables,
Wow.
the tower, the head, the blades.
Now, how many people does it take to get this all together? I'm assuming it's not a one-man job.
It's about a 3-man, 4-man job.
Really?
And then once the units have to be, if they have to be craned up, because some can be lifted up on site with a tilt-up tower with lighter equipment. But on the bigger units, you know, we have to get the cranes there and the right rigging people there to assist and get it level, you know.
All right, so let's say I'm the person who made that initial phone call saying I want this lovely piece of equipment on my itty-bitty Schenectady property. How long does it take from that initial phone call till I have a functioning wind turbine?
Well, on the smaller units, you're looking at around, let's call it, even on the bigger units, we're going to call about a month of not totally working there, because there's a lot of time delays with concrete drying, the order coming in, and
how
but
much
day
of that
by day,
time
you're going to be tying up probably about, you know, a good week of assembling and.
Oh, okay. So about a week of it would be those 3 or 4 guys at my house
site,
hammering this thing together, huh?
Doing the work. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you very much. I've appreciated a lot of the information you've been able to give us today, and it's been good talking with you again.
Yep. Same to you, dear.
Amy's Classroom is a science TV show brought to you by the Edison Tech Center in Schenectady, New York, to show you that the classroom is anywhere that science happens.